Hi, I'm Owen from Rask Australia. Thanks for tuning in to the Rask Network. Before we get into today's show, there are a few things we have to go over. Firstly, what you're about to hear and see is limited to general information only. It's not personal financial advice like you get from a financial planner. Also, it's important to remember that past performance is not indicative of future performance. That means that anything that's happened in the past, or we say today, is not necessarily going to reflect what happens in the future. Lastly, please consider that any of the guests or myself are featuring on this program may have a financial interest in some of the products or shares mentioned. That's enough from me. I hope you enjoyed today's program. Kate, welcome to this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast.
It is wonderful to be back for another episode in our summer series.
It is indeed. Queenie, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
It is your debut on the podcast.
I know. I can't believe it. We're here. We're in Melbourne. It's great. Yeah.
Recording in the studio.
I know. It's so nice to see you in person because I feel like I've known you for so long, but I've never actually met you. So it's nice to see you in person.
Yeah.
Strange thing about the internet, isn't it? You can get to know someone from afar. Like I've seen all your money saving tips on Instagram.
Yeah.
You've got quite a few.
I do. And we're going to go through them in this episode.
Yeah. Does anyone ever come up to you and say, hey, I know you? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, it actually does. So I went on a round the world trip, and when we were traveling, no one really knew me. Maybe just one person in Singapore, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then when coming back, it was almost every day people would recognize me. I go to a cafe and then the barista would be like, oh, I know you. And it's quite cool, actually. I still get weirded out by it because I'm like, oh no, how do I look? Do I look different? Do I seem different?
Do I seem professional enough?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever get not worried, but do you ever get nervous when someone meets you, or you're like, oh, I need to make a good impression or something like that?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'm just I get nervous and I'm like, oh, is the real Queenie as good as the online Queenie? I don't know.
That's great. Kate and I keep a low profile behind the mic, so it's a bit easier for us to just...
Hey, how do you feel when it happens?
Hasn't happened much, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Unless you're actually at a finance event, but then you're prepared for it.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But also the cap, sunnies, face mask, you can cover it up pretty good.
Yeah, people cannot recognize me, including my own family in public usually, so it's okay.
All that army training coming into
into
effect.
Bit of cam and con.
It's because of all the paparazzi outside your place. You're you blue blood.
Queenie, yeah. I mean, money saving tips are big news in 2023. Haven't you heard? And today we're going to share at least seven different money saving tips because cost of living has impacted pretty much everyone during the past 12 months. And I think everyone can find one or two ways to save a little bit more money on their budget this year. We did quite a few episodes in the past year on savings accounts, term deposits, different ways to cut some of those living costs down. So it's a good way today to just refresh and think about, how am I going to save a little bit more money this year? If my mortgage repayments have gone up, maybe my grocery bills have gone up, I need to find a little bit more room in my budget because potentially my income hasn't gone up.
Yeah, it's always good just to check in, beginning of the year, to check in and see what we can save on. As we know, the more you save, the more you keep, or invest. So this is going to be a bit of fun. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just go through each category one at a time, and we'll talk about that back and forth between the three of us. Sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds
first?
Good.
So one of the biggest parts of most people's budgets is either their rent or their mortgage repayments. So that is a big cost for a lot of people. And for many people, it's probably increased in the past 12 months.
Absolutely. You own a house, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you shop around when you got your mortgage?
I did. Yeah. So I think most people, when they are getting a mortgage, the first thought is, I'm just going to go with my current bank, or I'm going to go with one of the big banks. But what I did and what my partner did when we were getting our mortgage was we were looking around at different banks to get a mortgage, because when you think about it, when you take out a mortgage, the bank is the one that's taking the risk. You're not necessarily taking on the risk. Whereas when you have a savings account, you're sort of the one taking on the risk because it's your money that you're putting into the bank and you trust the bank to keep your money. Whereas when it's a mortgage, it's the other way around. So we got a pretty good interest rate on our mortgage and we're happy with our provider. But it is worth it to shop around because you can even get, usually they do like these cash cash
rewards.
Rewards if you switch your mortgage, and sometimes you can even save a bit of money there as well.
Yeah. What about you, Kate?
I have not refinanced yet because it hasn't been 12 months yet. So I'm thinking that might be a good time that I sit down and review at least the variable part of my loan and see where that's at, because most of it is fixed at the moment. So I'm just making sure I utilize my offset account this year. I'm going to try and build up my cash buffer a little bit more because it's been expensive last few months paying for a European trip. So I've got to build that offset back up a little bit more again.
Yeah. You don't actually have to refinance to get a better rate. We actually had one listener write into us a couple of months ago who said, "Thanks, Legends." I'm pretty sure that was the language used. "Thanks, Legends. You saved me $400 a month just by calling the bank saying, hey, I want a better rate, or I'm going to switch. I can go anywhere." And that's what they did. And they knocked off I think it was about 0.5% off their mortgage. So that's a huge amount. When you think about that, we've had so many interest rate increases. That's like rewinding back the interest rate increases by 2, because they normally go in 0.25s. So I think just calling and just saying, hey, this is what I can do. I'm going to walk unless you negotiate. And if you go see a mortgage broker, the key thing to keep in mind when you do that is there's a discount off the standard variable rate. So that might be a bit of gobbledygook. What it means is when you get a loan, there's normally like the rate that you see on the website, which says like, say, 4.99%. And then there's normally an advertised offer that will be like, X discount off the standard variable rate. What people don't realize is that actually stays with you for the life of the loan. So that's not just for a little bit of time, that's for a long time. So a mortgage broker can actually help you negotiate for a very long time. But contrary to what some people might say, you don't need to refinance to get a better rate. It's actually, oftentimes you can just call them and bargain with them. So that would be my tip. And then for renters, one of the things that makes renting really hard is the constant churn. You're constantly worried, is the landlord going to say, that's it, I'm going to sell the house, or blah, 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 you need to move out. You can go to your landlord, you can be proactive, go to them and say, hey, I'm super keen on being here, I've been a good tenant. Would you be willing to accept 18-month or 2-year leases? Because it's up to them. At the end of the day, they can do that if you offer that to them. Because what's important, right, is that locks in your mortgage rate. So with interest rates going up, eventually most landlords will push that through to their tenants to try and protect themselves. So if you get out in front of that and you offer a longer term rental contract, you can actually save money.
Yeah, I've also seen people in the past reduce their rent slightly by either organising to take the bins out for the block of units, mowing lawns for the owners, doing some repairs or things like that. So there's ways to negotiate a slightly lower rent depending on your arrangement.
Yeah, potentially. So it can be more flexible than people imagine. So it's worth just asking the question, for sure. That's pretty much that's the big rock on our list, I would say, is where you live. But there are plenty of other ways to save.
Yeah, another big area is transport. I know that's been a big thing in my budget. Even without a car, the amount you add up with public transport and Ubers, going places that you can't go without public transport. Have you got any tips on saving on transport this year?
Yeah, I would say public transport is generally my go-to because I think it's quite cheap, it's efficient, you know approximately what time you can get to your destination, and it's also more eco-friendly as well. I would also say if you are planning on buying a car, it is a good idea to keep an open mind because, as we know, the used car market has also increased quite a lot over the years. So it is important to compare different options and see what works right for you because I don't think there is one size fits all when it comes to purchasing a car or, transport in general. What about you guys? I'm curious.
Well, if you can live with one car, that's better than two. And if you can live with two, that's better than three. Because cars are typically probably the third biggest
Does anyone
expense.
have 3 cars in a household?
Oh, yeah. Like my stepdad, if you're listening to this, Colin, eyes on you, buddy. He's got
How can he possibly use all 3 at once?
Wow, that's the question, isn't it? One leg in each one. No. Yes, it's more of a lifestyle thing for him. Like he's got the car that he drives on weekends and whatever.
Oh, so it's more of a hobby activity.
Yeah, he rebuilds cars and whatever. So if you want to give me that car, Colin, let me know. Anyway, so simple ways to save. We talked about the fuel app where you can lock in fuel.
The 7-Eleven app was quite popular with our audience.
Yeah, and you can get Virgin Velocity points if you sign up within a certain time. And you mentioned, Queenie, there that like you know what time you're going to get to your destination. I feel like Sydney, like it's spoken like someone from Sydney. If you're in Victoria, you're like, yeah, it's going to be late by a long way. But you're true, right? Like it can really get you to where you need to go, and just keeping an open mind. There was a thing for Victorians in the last election. Basically, every government promised to cap public transport fees at like $1 or $2, which is down from like $15 to take the train into the city.
Oh, it's about $9
is that
for the
what
day.
It is? Oh, maybe I'm thinking tolls. Yeah, so that's going to be a bit of a game changer for a lot of people too. So
if we see it,
yeah, promises are the cheapest form of a guarantee, right? So yeah, so that's great. What about Kate? How do you get by without a car?
Having friends that like to drive cars where you can pay them in food or coffee is a great money saving tip. And siblings and
still waiting
family
for that
members. So that is one tip. Uber's being quite useful. I mean, I spoke to my sister and asked her how much she spent between Red Joe and insurance and getting new tyres or whatever cars need.
Yep.
And it was quite a few $1,000s. So I was like, I've definitely spent less than that on Ubers and public transport in the last year. So I think I'm doing okay.
I think I've quoted this on the podcast, but I once did a bit of a study on a Holden Commodore. They don't make them in Australia anymore, but a Holden Commodore that cost $25,000. And if you own that for the full, I think it was 5 years or 7 years, it would cost you $75,000, even if it cost you $25,000 to buy it. So it gives you an idea of how much cost is embedded in these things without you even realizing how expensive transport can be. So I guess one of the takeaways there is that it's actually called depreciation, which sounds like a nerdy accounting term, which it is, but that's okay. What it means is like the value of something falling over time, and cars are one of the worst for that. So the way you can neutralize that is actually buy cars that are 2 or 3 years old already. They might still have a little bit of warranty. That tends to be the sweet spot for getting rid of that.
Yeah, I've got another one to add. So recently purchased an EV, a Tesla. Actually, my first new car that I've bought, our last car, oh my gosh, it was 20 years old. We sold it for $1,000 to a scrap metal place because the person that we wanted to sell it to, he fixes broken down cars. He got in the car and there were so many issues. He was like, I'm sorry, I can't buy this car. There are too many issues.
There's no hope.
Yeah, there were too many issues. So that was our last car. It had a great run, but yeah, it was time for an upgrade. But something that got us over the line when purchasing an EV was there's this calculator that you can use. It's a total cost of ownership calculator. It's from the New South Wales government, but I assume the numbers would be similar in Victoria as well. So you can go on that and you can compare the total cost of ownership of an EV versus a petrol car. And especially if you are looking to purchase, a more expensive car, EVs can actually make sense in the long term because you do have that fuel saving because you'll be charging your car instead of buying fuel. And then also, generally, they don't expect EVs to depreciate as much as petrol cars because the world is kind of moving towards more EV cars. So something to keep in mind if you are in the market.
Cool. I like it. I'd love to get one.
I think I'll get a Tesla when it starts driving me without me having to drive it. I'll avoid driving as long as I can at all.
Well, we'll find a link to that and we'll put it in the show notes. One of the big reasons that EVs are more efficient is because they don't have a combustion engine, which consumes a lot of parts, so they don't need as much servicing as well, which is really cool. Yes, Kate, engineering. Who would have thought about that?
The more you know.
The more you know.
All
Put
right.
that in the memory palace. Yep.
Another
Continuing
big
on.
category that, I don't know, it seems to impact me a lot is the cost of food. And that's from my weekly Coles shop to if I get a meal box to additional trips to the grocery when I run out of milk. Like, it just seems to add up a lot.
Yep.
Like, cooking for yourself's not fun.
What? Maybe.
Well, for me, I don't find it a fun activity.
You don't have anyone to please. You can cook whatever you want.
Just mashed potato all the time.
Yeah,
Do you have any favourite meals, Queenie?
Ooh, I love potatoes. I love all types of potatoes. They're the best. What about you? What's
In
your
any
favorite
form.
meal?
I got in trouble for saying a recipe that you can make for a few dollars on the show.
That's because people didn't believe you could make it for $2 per serve.
Which was like, it
What
had
was
pine
it?
nuts in it. It was like a pumpkin salad.
It's like pumpkin, it's spinach leaves, and you put a bit of feta. And then I said pine nuts, and that's when everyone was like, hold on a second.
Pine nuts are expensive.
You could do walnuts, sub it for walnuts instead.
Walnuts,
chop it up.
But I mean, Owen didn't say how many pine nuts he put on.
Yeah,
so
you only
it could
put
have been
1.5 on
like
each
2 or
salad.
3.
So it's not like,
Just get one pine nut.
Yeah,
If you chop
dice it
it
up.
into a dust.
But I mean, technically, the pine nut bag would last forever and it would be cost effective.
yeah. No,
But-
so I guess there's some really simple ways to save, right?
Yeah, I mean, this year, like in the past year, I've been buying meat in bulk. So when I saw sausages or things or steaks when they were 2 for $10 or things like that, I'd get a couple and then put them in the freezer. So that was quite helpful. And my biggest tip from last year was buying a meat thermometer, which was a great addition to the kitchen.
Who cooks in your household, Queenie? You or Pablo?
We both cook, actually. We both
Ooh.
cook together. So it's quite nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So what we usually, oh my gosh, I found the best hack the other day. You guys are going to love it because I didn't know about it before. So Coles does this thing called rain checks. And essentially what happens is if you see something that's on sale, something that you usually buy, let's say you buy almond milk and it's on sale, it's really cheap. And it's so cheap that it's completely sold out. And you're like, damn, I run out of the almond milk. That's a great price. You can ask the staff for a rain check. And so they'll write down on this little slip of paper what you're looking to buy, the price that it's on sale for. And then the next time it's in stock, you can actually bring in that little slip of paper and then buy it for that discounted price. So that's a good hack if if something's run out and you need to get something on sale.
I feel like that's kind of an insider knowledge tip.
Yeah, it's a good tip, hey?
Yeah?
Somebody DM'd me about it and I tried it and it actually works. So the more you know.
What did you use it on, if you remember?
It was almond milk.
Oh, was it almond milk? Okay.
Real example.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
Yeah, another one I've got is freezing bread. I usually can't get through a whole loaf in a week, and so it goes moldy after about 7 days, I've discovered. So put it in the freezer and just take out slices as you need them is quite good.
And you can toast it and it tastes the same.
I've got that frozen
What
button on my
can't you
toaster.
freeze? So I think that's the question.
I don't know. Sometimes I've had prepackaged meals before and they said don't freeze. So
Yeah, right.
I don't
I
know.
get the super
Unfrozen
low carb
ham's
bread.
bad.
Huh? What is?
Don't unfreeze ham and eat it. It's a
Don't
bit
unfreeze
watery and milk.
Why would you freeze milk?
You got to try everything once.
Go, I guess. Some things I feel
Frozen
like I
milk.
don't need to.
I've had frozen yogurt before.
Oh, yeah, okay, that makes
So
sense.
theoretically.
Frogut, isn't that like a whole thing?
Yeah. I'm not talking froyo. I'm just talking like putting yogurt into small tubs and then having that as a dessert in the summer.
Oh,
That sounds quite good,
That's cheaper
actually.
than going to froyo.
yeah. You know a really cool little hack that you can do? Because this is just something really simple to stop you overspending is you can use, if you're on an Android, oh my God, if you're on an Android, you can be like, okay, Google, or whatever the jingle is, add milk to my shopping list. Or you do the same thing for Siri. Siri does it just as well. And then when you get there, it's all done in a shopping list. You say add it to the shopping list. Otherwise, it just creates another random note in your phone. So you can use that. It's really easy. If you're just walking around the kitchen, instead of having the, some people have at home, they have the whiteboard on the fridge or on the pantry. You don't need to do that anymore. You can just say, hey, you don't Google, whatever it is. I don't.
Or you could just
Not
open
standard
your
lingo.
reminders app and add a list.
Yeah, but that requires using your fingers.
Life's hard.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
definitely having a list before you go to the supermarket
Oh,
in general,
yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's good.
But other than that, Queenie, we know that you purchased a coffee machine, which is a big way to save as well.
Yes. Oh, I will tell anyone that listens, buy a coffee machine. If you buy coffees frequently, it will save you a lot of money. And it's a big upfront cost. When I first bought it, I was like,
Because you weren't just buying an espresso machine, you were buying a legit coffee
a
machine.
legit coffee machine. It has the little basket and it has a grinder. So you literally
It's like a Breville or something.
Yeah. Oh, but it's amazing. I've had it for, actually, I think it's maybe 6 to 7 years now. Bought it for $700, which was a lot of money at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I feel about this. And now I'm like, man, cost per use would be so low right now. It would be I don't know what the cost per use would be. Probably be 5 cents per day. Pretty good, hey? And then the coffee itself, I added it up once. I think it only costs about, from 50 to 80 cents. and only because I buy the more expensive like oat milks and stuff. So you can save quite a lot of money.
Do you just get your beans from the supermarket or somewhere fancy?
I get fancy beans too. So that's a good way to save money. Yeah. Do you have a coffee machine?
I've just got the little Nespresso machine with the pods.
Oh,
I don't think that reduces
fancy.
my coffee budget though at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's on top, I think.
Yeah, I've got a DeLonghi at home.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, I can say that I did not pay for this. A mate who may be listening, I used to work for DeLonghi, throwing him in the deep end here, and he gave me a machine in exchange for using all my snowboard equipment. so I gave him all my gear, and he's like, "Yeah, no, you can just keep the coffee machine." I'm like, "Oh, sweet, okay, cool." But I still have a coffee addiction outside of home. So fair to say, when I come into the city, I spend way too much. Hasn't stopped me.
I feel like that's a good idea though, just switching. If you don't need one piece of gear or equipment in your life and someone else doesn't need something else, you could switch.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like snowboard gear, it's like $200 a day. It's just a joke. So like if there was like 4 of them going, that's like a lot of money that you can save if like just repurpose it.
A lot of people buy those things like a waffle machine. They use it once or twice. It's not that fun anymore. So you may as well swap with someone else's popcorn machine.
Exactly.
Well, maybe you could do like a little group where you all like buy one thing and then you swap it like
you know
every
how
few
like
months.
Breville make all those random things like the cupcake maker and like the pie maker and the crepe maker.
Yeah, they do that. I would also say just on this is like the actually making your meals, like prep meals, is such a good way to save money. Sunday arvo, cook like a huge thing of pasta that you can have for dinner that night or whatever you're having. Like the superfood lentils, you can make anything out of. You can make pasta tacos, whatever you want.
Did you say pasta tacos?
Well, I meant like there was a comma there.
What?
So there was a comma in between pasta tacos. And then I was going to say something else, but it didn't work. So
Pasta tacos.
if someone makes pasta
Interesting.
tacos, can you please send us a photo and rate it out of 10 and we'll give it a crack. Anyway, who knows what 2023 holds? Okay, saving money on entertainment is the next bucket, Queenie. What would you do if you were wanting to be entertained? How would you save money?
Ooh, okay. So I would say if you want to see your friends and everyone's like, hey, yeah, let's go out to a restaurant and do drinks, maybe a cheaper alternative would be to go to someone's place and everyone brings in a bit of food, bit of drinks, cheese, snacks, board games, whatever, and then you can have a night in at home. It's cheap. It's a lot more. I personally love like nights in at home. I have so much fun.
Wholesome.
Yeah, they are. It's like nice. You get to talk. It's like just, your friends that you want to see. And that's what I would do.
Cool. So night in at home and make the most of it.
Yeah.
Even better, you host, you come up with the idea and you don't have to drive home. So
Exactly. Yeah.
you're good to
I wonder
go.
why that makes sense for you, Kate.
Saves on Ubers.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think you come up with the idea and you host and you delegate all the different food and beverages and cheese to everyone.
That makes sense.
And
You pay for the
You've got
Netflix.
some dishes and you got to organise a
Yeah.
bit, but you don't have to drive home. It's perfect.
That's great. Like it.
Even better.
What else, Kate? How would you save on entertainment?
Well, obviously listening to the podcast because that's free entertainment during
well,
the
it
year.
is. Yes, it is.
But
Nice plug, by the way.
oh yeah, I don't usually plug it.
Yeah,
but,
this has got to be like Blue Moon. Go outside and check, actually.
well, my strategy recently has been only one streaming platform at a time and having regular 30-day bans, which has saved quite a lot
Like
of
a
money.
detox.
Yeah, so I had 3 different detoxes last year of 30 days.
What were they? Like of TV?
Yeah, of TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no TV, no movies.
Is it a
no
detox then?
I don't know. What else would you call it? Just going back to normal where you read a
Self-deprecation,
book
maybe?
before the world of the internet.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I was reading books. I wasn't just sitting there staring at the ceiling.
Do they still make those? Okay.
Yes. So and also when you sign up for a streaming platform, you can just cancel it straight away. So you've got it for 30 days and it won't auto renew. So you can control things
Do you
a
need
bit
like
more.
a different email address for that?
No.
Oh.
You just subscribe. It takes the money. You cancel. You've got it for the 30 days.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and you can do that with quite a few services because you'll pay. They'll leave you the length of time you've subscribed for, and then it will stop auto renewing.
Yeah.
And I think and even if it doesn't offer that kind of thing, write to the firm and say, can you turn off auto renew so you can control that a little bit more? And when you resubscribe, because you might not need it immediately.
Yeah.
What's your
Good idea.
favourite streaming service?
I think Netflix or Disney Plus. They're both really good. What about you guys? What do you
I
like?
feel like Disney has a special place in my heart,
Yeah, true. Yeah.
but Netflix is pretty reliable for something there.
Yeah, true. Sorry, Stan.
Binge you can't download offline, so.
You can't. I realised that the other day when I was trying to watch The Walking Dead on the plane. I was devastated. It's like, what is this?
They have good shows though.
Yeah.
Binge, yeah.
The other platforms are like one-hit wonders. Like Apple has like The Night Manager, which was like amazing. But like, other than that, I would have to say Disney. Because it's got the movies and the series, which is super cool. It's also got Deadpool, which is quite nice. Hey, Monique, off camera here. What does it cost to go to a gig in Melbourne or anywhere, roughly? Like, how much would you expect to pay if you were paying? $80. Okay, that's more expensive than I thought. Scrap that idea.
Local artist 20.
Yeah, like a local artist. Like you go into the pub or something like that.
Someone that doesn't have a following.
Yeah, like $20. That's pretty good. That's great entertainment. So that's another way to save.
Well, a lot of pubs have free musicians too, just performing.
Yeah, that's it. Or you can go to trivia night, which is free at your local. That's another good one. So these are some easy ways to get entertainment.
And other websites where you can buy very low cost last minute theatre tickets for musicals. If anyone wants to see a musical this year, there's a few good ones coming to Melbourne, including Wicked and Juliet.
Wowzers.
I don't know.
Wow.
You might want to see, but like concerts,
I do want to go see the orchestra.
Sport.
I just feel like that would be quite a spectacle.
The MSO often has discounted tickets because they might need Melbourne Symphony Orchestra.
Okay, right, cool.
There you go. So cultured.
Yeah, yep.
You could also see the ballet. You want to see the ballet this year? There you go.
I would happily go and see these things. But if they didn't cost the earth, like what is it? Like I feel like something like that's too schmancy for me.
No, a lot of them have rule restricted tickets, which just might mean you're quite high up.
There's like a pole in front of you so you can't see the screen.
It's not always a pole in front of you. It might mean that like one side of the stage is slightly obstructed because you're sitting on an angle viewing it down.
Yeah, right.
So,
okay.
which is
like one of those like little boxes box things up on the side there, you know, where like the Prime Minister sits?
Yeah, the boxes are quite cheap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the boxes at the Art Centre. I got Phantom of the Opera tickets for about $60 in a box. Because they're seen as
cheaper
restricted
than a round
view.
of drinks at anywhere.
Because you can't see the side of the stage in the boxes. So
did you have one of those like spectacle things where you're like,
pull it out of your pocket,
fancy,
No, but some people I know have done that.
Oh my
So
Lord.
next level, if you really want to see the action.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So
binoculars.
Like live entertainment, like is really good value because it normally goes for a few hours. You can just pick up on these things if you just keep a lookout on social media, follow some artists or whatever.
Comedy festivals in most states, like
Yeah.
there's plenty out there. You just kind of have to start looking for it or subscribing to websites that notify you of upcoming events for local artists and things like that.
Yeah, bushwalks, fishing, these are all things that are done really cheap because you take advantage of nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finding
In a good
low-cost hobbies or hobbies that don't cost you anything like hiking.
Yeah, yeah. Other than energy, which
And
is
the effort
quite
to
hard to
get
find
there.
these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burger/picnics with friends in the park. I see you got this in the notes, Kate.
Yeah, well, I thought Queenie kind of covered that with the movie night with friends. But if it's a warmer summer evening, you can use one of those barbecues in the local park. The ones that you wonder, when was the last time that got properly cleaned? But they're great. And you can have a picnic in the park and everyone can bring something. So they're a lot of fun.
Such a great way to do it, yeah.
Good idea.
When was the last time either of you went to the cinema?
Maybe a month ago.
Oh, wow. That's not long ago.
But you can actually get cheap tickets, I think.
Yeah. There used to be a thing at, I don't know if this is like a thing anymore, like Tight Ass Tuesdays.
Nick's nodding yes.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Yeah.
Success.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
There's
gotta
something.
pick-
Now we just need a movie to go see.
Telstra tickets and things. You can get cheaper tickets.
Yeah, there are
true.
some like members, maybe with your insurance as well. Like
Yeah.
there are some insurance
RACV or
providers that
RACQ
have
and that
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hoyt's had their free membership. You get a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been to the cinemas since Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think if you're like,
been
is it
ages.
Optus and Hoyts and Village and Telstra or something? It's like anyway, I'm
Yeah.
probably just making that up.
If you start Googling, you will
Write
find
into us and
cheaper
let us know
tickets.
how wrong we are. Yeah, cool. Well, that's entertainment. Plenty of ways to save some time off over summer. SunSmart policy applies, of course. Saving money on bills, Kate.
Yes. So
Do you have bills?
I do. They seem to add up
Wow.
more than I expected.
Yep. How do you solve that problem?
Because I have to pay hot water and cold water and electricity and gas and NBN and phone bill. But anyway, all of those big
Who
bills.
being an adult?
Yes, being an adult is fun, but those big bills are all things that you can renegotiate or look for better options at least on an annual basis. So there's always different offers coming into market, especially for NBN and phone plans. There's always, you get rewarded for switching, not for being loyal.
Yeah. Loyalty tax,
That
for
took
sure.
you a while to get your head around.
I was like, there was like 3 cogs that had to move for me to then connect and be like, oh yes, now I know what she's talking about.
So I think this year, maybe in the next few months, I'll do sort of an annual review of all of these big expenses, and I'll let everyone know how I go in a Money and Chill episode.
Yeah,
Good idea.
What about you, Queenie? How do you save on bills?
Yeah, I would say, especially with phone plans, what I see a lot of people doing is like getting an unlimited plan, which is great if you use like a crazy amount of data.
Yep.
But I think for a lot of people, they usually don't use that much data that they think they do. So it might be worth actually looking at what your data consumption is every month and then getting a plan that, you know, is more aligned with that. And you could probably save, I don't know, maybe $20 a month. And it all adds up at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely. Even things like a Maysim, pretty sure they still do that. Like the Aldi Sim, that's super cost effective if you are that way inclined. And in particular, you can just switch on your Wi-Fi when you get home, like on your phone, right? You don't have to use that much bandwidth when you're out. Just don't download your binge series because you won't be able to do that. But maybe you can download other things before you jump on the commute to work. So binge, if you're listening, user experience.
You download your podcast when you're connected to your internet at home.
Yeah.
You do your heavy streaming downloads
Unless you're on a
at home.
Starlink, which I figured out is quite annoying because it's like waits for the satellite to go over and then
You
you're
paid
like
so
streaming.
much extra for this
It's like,
fancy
ding,
thing.
and then you have to wait 5 seconds and it comes back again. Anyway, get a Starlink. They're great. So other than that, you can actually look to save by annually reviewing these things. Like health insurance is a real big one. There may be things that you don't need anymore, like if you have pregnancy cover or if you don't need certain things. Life insurance, which is often held inside super, it's a great way to save that instead of paying outside of super. Just be mindful of any of the kind of exclusions or waiting periods before you do anything with insurance. But inside super, there's actually income protection. And one of the easiest ways to save on income protection is firstly, like do a review of the insurance guide, but you can extend the waiting period. That's whether it's like that's how long it takes to kick in before you get the payments. And that could be, 30, 60 or 90 days. And if you go longer, you might think, well, that's a big risk. However, if you have your emergency fund, that should cover you for 3 to 6 months anyway. So you can afford to knock that back and you'll still have some money. Like you've got to budget accordingly. It's a risk, but keep that in mind. It's a really easy way to kind of save on that. And other than that, like there are some great incentives at the state level. So here in Victoria, we covered quite a bit this year that you could get $250 literally by putting in your address and then press compare.
Yeah, that was.
And they would send you $250.
Energy provider comparison site. I don't know if
Don't know
you
how
got
that
a
works.
similar thing in Sydney.
I think we would, but that's pretty good. $250.
Yeah, we did an episode on this, and there was actually a website for the whole of Australia where you can. It's like government rebates and incentives, and you can just put like your state in, and it will come up with a list of all the things that are ready to go and like available straight away. And there were things like
I think that was when I got my free shower head.
yeah. How's that going?
It's great. I love
Yeah,
it. It still works.
Does it stay on when you turn the water on? Or
Yes.
does it come flying?
Oh,
with
you look a
donkey in
bit
there?
doubtful.
Really good water pressure.
Really good water pressure.
Yeah. I approved. My free shower head is great.
That's good because normally they save water, right? So normally people are a bit disappointed. Like, I used to have this old thing that looked like a waterfall. Now I got this thing which looks like a spray bottle.
Yeah. I don't know. If I had one of those actual waterfall ones in the house, it came with that, I probably would have kept it.
Oh, you mean like one of those big square ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's next level. I definitely got like the one on the stick, linked on the hose.
The stick is very effective, like when you're trying to clean
Oh yeah, so
a
good.
shower.
Yeah, so good. Yeah. Anyway,
I
we
don't have any
digress.
tips for cleaning.
Okay.
Cleaning sucks.
Okay, final bucket for saving money is saving money on pets. Do we have any pets, guys?
Well, my big tip is don't have a pet.
Well,
And
I
just
guess we can
get
wrap
some
it up now
friends.
then. Let's move on. Do you have any pets, Queenie?
No. But I was actually
An
just staying with
axolotl,
my
a
friend.
fish, nothing?
No, axolotl. Those things are really funny looking, hey? Like the amphibian things.
Yeah, they're quite freaky.
Catfish?
Yeah.
Catfish?
Yeah.
They're like have you seen an axolotl? It's like a catfish crossed with something else.
Not for a while.
Okay.
You're
Okay,
the
back
only
to
one with
Queenie's money
pets.
tip.
Anyway, one of my friends, she just got a new puppy and I was staying with her for a bit. And yeah, honestly, they bring so much joy, but they can be very expensive. I think something that you could potentially do is just making sure that you are keeping on top of your expenses for your pet, just like you would yourself, because they can get, you can go a bit wild with the food. Like I remember when I was staying with her, we were like, whenever we would go shopping, we'd be like, oh my gosh, he would love this. We have to get this for him, So I can understand how it could get really expensive.
They're
so
like
it's
a
important
whole
to mind
other
it.
human. They need food, they need toys, they have problems, they have to go to the vet.
Think of all the happiness, though. Okay, can you
They
put
have
a
to
price
get a
on happiness?
babysitter when you go away.
Like, how much happier would you be in life if you had something that would come up to you and slobber on you when you get back?
Negative 1,000.
You would. Oh yeah, you actually don't like dogs. Like when there's dogs in the.
I like chickens.
Monique knows what I'm talking about. When there's a dog in the office, Kate just like freezes up. She's like, "Do not come near me. Do not come
And
near me."
they always do. They
just
sense
love
it.
Yeah, they're like, she's got a bit of anxiety around
Even
her.
when I
I'll
feed
come
near
over to her and
family
lick her
members'
leg.
dogs, they know I don't like them and they still come up to me.
Yeah, it's a thing. Well, anyway, on the affirmative side, we have Owen who says, get a pet because they're awesome. Get whatever. Maybe second guess your rabbit though, because they are a lot of work.
Your rabbit has cost a
Really?
lot in
Rabbits?
technical problems.
Oh my gosh, they're
Technical
so fiddly
problems?
and they're just
It
very
eats the
fragile.
cords.
Yeah, we had
Oh.
one rabbit who bit a cable. It's now passed on. Poor happy. Anyway, it bit a cable and then we brought that cable into the office, like fully checked OH&S, all that stuff. And there was these two cables, right? It bit both of them and we plugged both of them into power. And then it just so happened, like through fate, that the two cables touched at exactly the right spot and it set the power off in the whole building.
And it fried a couple of machines that were quite expensive.
We spent $2,500 on these like standalone GPUs. I know, nerd alert. But anyway, they hit, the thing's fried, the whole building went down. It was more like lucky to be alive, but hey, that happens.
Wow.
Anyway,
So
Rabbits.
keep your rabbits away from your good stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they are fun. Like the big ones that are like huge, they're bigger than dogs, they're hilarious because they just have no energy. So you can just walk up to them, pick them up. But the little ones are like, don't want to be around you. Anyway, puppies are also now cheaper. I remember during COVID, I did a video and I was like, everyone was worried about the price of puppies. And it was like, that was actually the leading indicator of inflation. So because it's hard, you can't just produce a puppy in like a day like you can with milk or
Just
bread or
ready to
whatever.
order.
So the price of puppies went way up because the demand for new puppies during COVID and happiness, Kate, went way up and the supply was stagnant. So that's inflation in action. But now the reverse is happening. Everyone got dogs during COVID and obviously there's still breeding happening, such is nature. Anyway, so now there are more puppies and they're cheaper. So if you are in the market, you could probably save up to 50% on a pet. And we should give a special shout out. We spoke to the RSPCA. They're awesome. They're amazing. They have so many wonderful animals that could be adopted. So if you are in the market, you will save so much money by going to the RSPCA, like potentially thousands of dollars off a dog. So go and check that out. I think most pet insurance is a waste of money, but there are some policies which are decent and you can go through things like RSPCA. Just be really careful with the T's and C's. Typically, they're really expensive to begin with because the puppies are most fragile when they're early on. But you're looking at me like, when are you going to shut up about the pets? No, okay, one final thing. Give me one final thing. So when you get a pet, you can actually arrange with your vet and they will often put you on a payment plan because they're quite lumpy. As in like the payments are quite lumpy, not the pet itself, although it could be a lumpy pet, depending on what you get.
To the point,
A
Owen.
lumpy pet.
So what you can do is you can arrange with your vet to do like monthly bills and they cover X number of things. So it might be like 2 checkups a year, worming, vaccinations, and maybe DSEX, all covered in the same thing. And that helps people budget much more effectively because you know your costs and the vet kind of takes the risk there. But also order food in bulk. That's my I said my piece.
Wonderful.
I'm done.
Very good.
I think there's a lot of different savings tips there for
How many-
everyone.
did you count how many we did?
Way over 7. So that's good.
Wow.
Since this
Everyone got value
episode,
for
we'll
money.
say 7. 7. Value for money, I know. Free entertainment and free savings.
It should just say Invest with Queenie in the headline because that would be the most popular episode ever because Queenie, you are super popular on
no,
Instagram, on
stop.
TikTok, on YouTube, all around.
Popular. Oh, guys, love you.
So where can people go if they want to follow you and get more savings tips and hacks and all these types of stuff?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube on Invest with Queenie. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is super fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, cool. Well, we're so thrilled that you can be here in the office with us and in the studio. It does look like it's falling in around you, doesn't it? The office.
Yeah, honestly, I wish you could see it right now because it looks a bit like the walls are closing in, like one of those escape rooms with the spikes. Like, you know.
No one's described it as an escape room before. So.
Although people probably get in here and want to escape, to be honest.
Especially when they're talking to you.
Does make sense. But we'll put all the links to Queenie's socials in the description. So if you do want to follow up and say g'day to Queenie, please do it. You have some amazing videos. Like honestly, you do. Between you and Pablo, like what you come up with is awesome. So people could be a lot better off if they just follow some of those. But
yeah, let us all know on socials what you're saving money on this year.
Yeah, we need ideas.
If you've got creative ideas, we want to hear them.
I like it. Cool. And that's about it from us.
I think we should wrap this up. There's enough savings tips and enough us.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Queenie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And Kate, as always, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for listening, everyone.